All right, welcome back to the NFL Report. That voice you heard, that was Laremy Tunsil before this year's draft, championing Nick Caserio and drafting the right players. Laremy, you joined James Palmer and us. I think Nick Caserio nailed it when you're looking at C.J. Stroud, Will Anderson, Tank Dell, Henry To'o leading your team in tackles. I think he did pretty good, huh?
Yeah, I think he did a good job. For sure, and this is not the first rookie class he did a good job with. I think the previous one he also did a good job with too. Yeah, I think Nick is also a guy that's behind the scenes and does a very good job of what he does.
Laremy, so much of this is surrounded by the guy you guys took first in this draft, second overall pick in C.J. Stroud. What I keep reading about, obviously we've seen his play on the field, but I'm curious about the relationships that are getting built behind the scenes. I keep hearing about Taco Tuesdays. We're watching, Zombieland over there. Have you been over to CJ's house? I feel like this is a regular thing he's trying to do over there.
Yeah, it's a regular thing that he does, man. He does a good job at, bringing the whole team together. The first thing I said when CJ walked into the building, I was like, the leadership that he has as a young player is unbelievable. I think that's one of the first things I said when I met him. I was like, bro, your leader skills is off the charts, and I think that's something that we needed in a franchise quarterback is somebody that's a consistent leader and a damn good player on the field.
So, you talk about leadership. One thing CJ has said about you is, I can't believe I'm saying this, you're like the OG in the locker room. What he said, it's just your actual presence. We know you were out for a couple games, but he said your actual presence is the one thing that's really kept things together and helped you guys win 3 out of the last 4.
Yeah, man, I think my biggest role is to try to, lead guys with my play. And, I'm not a hoorah guy, a loud guy. I kind of just pull guys to the side and to chop it up with them like that. I feel like that's my role in this team.
Laremy, I'm curious. Steve mentions you as the OG. I won't say that. You're much bigger than me. But what I will say is you've been around for a minute in this league, and you've been around for a minute in Houston. I don't want to talk about the past and what that building was like, but how different and where is it now?
It's crazy how it is now. We brought a lot of good players in, a lot of good coaches in to change this whole program around. And it all started with DeMeco. DeMeco came in here with unbelievable energy. I think I said it every time when somebody asks about him, how consistent he is as a head coach. I think something that this program needed for a long time.
You talk about the way things have gone and just him getting his hands around this organization. But you're winning ball games, Laremy. I mean, again, you were nicked for a while. You come back. Titus Howard comes back. The offensive line has really taken a different shape. Is that one of the biggest things that's being credited for the way this offense is played during this winning? I guess you guys won 3 of the last 4.
I think it's not just us. I think it's just the whole offense. And it starts with CJ, and it trickled down to the O-line, to the receivers, to the tight ends, to the running backs. I think everybody's just buying into what the OC, Bobby, is telling us to do. And everybody's buying into each other. We play for each other. I think that's the biggest thing with this year's team. Like we don't want to see our brothers. We don't want us to feel like we letting our brothers down. So we try to play our hardest every snap, and that's what we've been doing these last weeks.
Laremy, I feel like anybody outside of Houston, a casual football fan, says Bobby who? I feel like a lot of people don't know who Bobby Slowick is. I had a chance to talk with him during training camp. I was didn't know where I stood with him, and I was kind of wowed in our conversation. Can you kind of describe your offensive coordinator now that you're kind of a quarter away into the season and what he brings to your unit?
He's another guy that's behind the scenes, but he's a mastermind. He be dialing it up. He really does. In my opinion, he really does. He be dialing it up. In my opinion, I think he's one of the top OCs in the NFL.
Wow, first year doing this. Hey, Laremy, you've played on playoff teams, and I'm not going to sit here and ask you to say, is this a playoff team? But do you see some of the characteristics, as young of a team as you guys are, of some of those playoff teams you've been on?
I don't like to speak too soon, man. I'm a superstitious guy, and I don't like to speak ahead. But as long as we play good ball and stay consistent, buy in, I think we'll do just fine.
Laremy had a chance to talk to Brian Baldinger before we were doing this interview, and Baldy said, I hate watching Laramy's film. I can't stand it because it is so consistent. The first snap that I watch him is exactly the same as the last snap that I watch him in each game. What's your take on that consistency that Baldy's talking about and that you obviously strive for?
And that's actually one of my biggest things that I harp on is staying consistent. No matter the circumstances, if we're down, up, I just like to stay consistent the whole game. And when I'm taking notes during the week, I always put at the top of my paper is consistent. You know, I have to stay consistent with everything I do. Run game, pass game, screens, doesn't matter. Like, I like to stay consistent and just keep a level head throughout the whole game.
Laremy, we also have Eagle center Jason Kelce on this show, and you see them run that brotherly shove play, whatever it is. They do it well. Not everybody does it well. As an offensive lineman, like, what is the importance if you guys ever get into that turtle shell to execute that perfectly?
You talking about the tush push?
Yes, the tush push.
The tush push.
Tush push.
I've seen teams around the league try to do the tush push, and nobody executed like the Eagles are doing it, man. I don't know what's the secret with Jalen Hurts and Jason Kelce. I don't know what they're doing, but they got it rolling for sure.
Is it something, Laremy, you guys look at as an offensive line and you kind of go, what are they doing? Like, what? Because you have a bigger quarterback. CJ's a pretty big dude.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's something you could do.
Facts. I think we actually try to dissect that play and try to figure out how they're doing. Like, is the offensive line getting a 4-point stance? Like, we talk about this actually every day and try to dissect the play and figure out how we can do it. But I think the biggest thing is just try to do our own thing and try to execute it the best way we can.
Hey, Laremy, right before we go, I got to ask you, you have twice negotiated your own deal to be the highest paid tackle in the NFL. Why did you decide to say, I got this, I can do this myself? It's not a complicated thing.
I just like to be the pioneer of my own ship. If that makes sense. Try to be the CEO of my business.
Yeah.
And, you know, I have good guys around me. I have Lalu Sani that helped me with the contracts, and I hired a whole bunch of lawyers to look over the contracts, and it made the process easy. But it goes back to Nick Caserio and DeMeco making everything easy for me too.
I love it. I love it. That is Laremy Tunsil, the left tackle for the Houston Texans, apparently Baldy's least favorite person to watch on film because of his dominant consistency. Play in and play out. Laremy, thank you so much for joining the NFL Report.
Appreciate you, Laremy.
Appreciate it.